Hello, Flosstube. My name is Dina. I live in Cartersville, Georgia, which is a suburb north of Atlanta, but it's so far north, it's almost halfway between Atlanta and Chattanooga. But I am one of the many Georgia stitchers. We have a very active stitching community. The last year, though, we haven't been able to get in person, and I really miss being part of that community. So I thought I would come back with my Flosstube videos. I did a few several years ago, and then life got busy. I slowed down stitching and picked it up last year right around March 13th when life got crazy and I needed something to console me. Stitching helped considerably. I'm married. My husband and I have 3 children and 6 grandchildren. All of the grandkids live pretty far away, so it's just me and him. I am a high school math teacher. This year I'm teaching geometry and statistics. And so as I was thinking of revamping my Flosstube, I thought, well, how am I going to do something different? What's my angle going to be? Geometry, it's a joke. What's my angle? And so I thought I would try to incorporate a little math lesson in every single video. And the math lesson, we're not going to be working trig functions, I don't think. But it's going to be something related to cross stitch and math. So I've got a little video that I have put at the end of today. So stick around, and maybe you may already know it. You may not. It may be a refresher to you. I said that stitching brought me some comfort last year. So just like everybody, we were tremendously impacted last year. Last June, my son had gone to see my mother, and they all live in Texas, and I'm here in Georgia. And my son looked at his grandma and said, "Mimi, you look a little bit yellow." And she said, "Oh, it's just my moisturizer." He says, "I don't know." He says, "That doesn't look right." And she went to the doctor the next day and was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She had surgery within a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks of that diagnosis. But because of the time, we weren't allowed to be in the hospital with her. We couldn't go see her. And so she was in the hospital for 2 months with no visitors, nothing. We moved her to a rehab facility to help with, everything that goes along with recovering from that. And I could see her through the window. That was as close as I could see. And so it's been almost a year. She has gone through her chemo and is slowly recovering. But my father just got his diagnosis of prostate cancer yesterday. So he will start radiation next week. So when it rains, it pours. And it's tough being so far away from them. So anyway, so when all that was happening, I couldn't read a book. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't focus on anything. And just sitting in a quiet room by myself and stitching that needle in, needle out over and over, just that rhythm brought me such peace. It was so meditative. And so I've done a lot in the last year. And so I will sort of piece it out and show you as I make more videos. So I thought I would start off with finishes because I've had a few finishes even this last week. Now, granted, it was spring break, so yeah, I had a little bit more time. But I just finished this little stocking finished this morning. And so this is out of Blackbird Designs Glorious June. So it's their little stocking. And Niecy Lynn's the one that got me doing the stockings, because I won a giveaway on her channel and it was for one of the July stockings. And so since then I've bought all of them, and they really are fun, quick little stitches. You know, this might have taken me a couple of days at most. I did add these extra little beads on there that the pattern does not call for. And I apologize for the light. It's a rainy, overcast day, and I'm trying to do the best I can here. But it was very quick, and the instructions say to hand stitch. Well, I'm not doing that. I've got my machine right there. And so I did just quickly machine stitch this thing in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was a very quick little stitch. And so they have these for all 12 months, and every month you get 3 patterns. So I bought this one from Silver Needle, so $9 for 3 patterns. The other ones in this one are a stork. I don't know that I'll do that one. I don't know. I do have a friend that's having a baby in a couple of months. Maybe I will. And then a wedding ring quilt up here. So anyway, so that was today's finish. The other finish that I've got is this cigar box. And this pattern is another Blackbird. I guess I'm on a Blackbird kick. It's out of Ooh La La. And it is called The Last Rose of Summer. Now, I did not do the side pieces, and I did not do the initials. I was waiting. Oh, I didn't do the year either. I was waiting to see what I was going to finish it on. So I actually went to Hobby Lobby and found some cheap little wooden box that I was going to paint and put this on. I should hold it back up. I'll do a Noah and get my screen grab. But I was with my husband. He had gone to the liquor store to buy some beer, and so I'm just hanging out at the register, and they've got the free boxes up front that they've unpacked. And I noticed cigar boxes. They're empty cigar boxes. And so I said, how much are those boxes? And they said, oh, they're free. Just take them. I'm like, whoa, score. So yeah, so this is just a nice wooden cigar box. This one was from Acid Cigars. And so I just, I felt it needed something else. So I put this lace around the edge of it. But I just used some foam board and put that on there, and then glued some trim down, and I'm happy with that. Cost me nothing, and so I took my box back to Hobby Lobby and got my $4 back on that one. All right, another one I finished up recently, I was just in the mood for smalls, is this little tiny small, and it is from Scarlett House Little Deeds Sampler. So I just did this little piece down here. I wanted to do the whole thing, but I knew I had some other big projects I really needed to focus on. So I justified, oh, it's just something little. And so it was, I don't know how long it took me to do this. It's on just some scrap fabric. But I love this pot, or whatever you call it that it's in. I love the colors on that. And I think sometimes, at least for me, when I'm looking at the big samplers, I sometimes don't focus in on some of the details. And so once I saw that, and I'm like, oh man, that is really, really pretty. Love that down there at the bottom. And so I just went into my scrap fabric, grabbed some fabric, some lace, and then I've gotten to, I think I have a little bit of polyfill in here, but I have a lot of crushed walnut shells. And so I know a lot of people use lizard litter. Don't know what that is. I mean, I'm assuming it's litter for your lizard. But I was with my husband in Harbor Freight. So Harbor Freight's sort of like a tool store with all sorts of random stuff in it. And so I was just wandering around with him and saw they had crushed walnut shells. So I'm actually fiddling with it to show you. It's in my craft room. I've got this 25-pound box of crushed walnut shells. So mechanics use it, like if they've got rusty parts, they put it in, I'm going to call it a rock tumbler because I don't really know what it's called. So they put the rusty parts in there and they put the walnut shells and then they just tumble it and get all the rust off. Well, 25 pounds at a hardware store of walnut shells cost me about $20. I mean, this is going to be a lifetime of crushed walnut shells. So I keep that in here so that he doesn't get his hands on it. Yes, he does buy some of that too, but this is my special craft stash of crushed walnut shells. All right, and the last thing I have to show you is based on something that I saw last week with the Country Stitches Flosstube, and they were showing this little thread catcher. And so it is just a bag. I've been using it, so I've got all sorts of random orts in there, odd random threads. It's got a little holder for your scissors. It's got a pin cushion. And it's attached with Velcro to this. It's actually a subway ceramic tile, you know, the subway tiles. And so what this does, I'm just going to use my box here to show you. So next to my Stitchy chair, on the piece of furniture that's there, this sits right there. And so I can stick all my needles in the top, and then I can throw my threads in here, and then my scissors are right there. Absolutely love this. It wasn't difficult to stitch. And so the designer is Curry Bungalow on Etsy, and I will link that below. The instructions are fantastic. She has lots of pictures, nothing terribly difficult about it. And I really do love having my scissors right there. I've seen some people make this and they leave off that scissor tab. And I think that's my favorite part of it, is the quick and easy access to my scissors. And I like that this is big enough because when I'm in the middle of stitching, I am not going to take the time to, take a little tiny jar and shove those threads in. I'm, throwing stuff. And so it does catch it instead of the floor like I typically have it. And then I love this flower on top. I have never made anything like that. And I thought that one was really pretty. So anyway, so those are my finishes all within the last week. I have somehow done something with those. Okay, so I'm only going to show you active whips because I'm trying to focus. I don't know how well I'm doing. My oldest whip is an embarrassment. I started this. I wrote it down. August 22nd, 2011. I probably have something older than that, but this is 10 years old. So Quaker diamonds. Absolutely love this pattern. Still love it. The Valdani flosses, I've not had any problem with them. I did run out and had to order some more, but mine came not on in these little spools, but mine were more skeins. So anyway, 10 years, Dina. Let's get it together. And so, I brought a board in. Here is where I am. So I am really close. I think that B is the bottom. I don't have a whole lot left to do. I mean, seriously, I need to focus. And so this is why I'm not letting myself start anything big. Hence, that's why I did the little tiny piece, because like, oh, that's not a big sampler. Because I really need to get my act together and finish this. I will finish it before August 22nd this year, because there's no way I'm gonna let this thing last for more than 10 years. It's easy stitching, it's fine. I just get distracted with something else. All right, so that's current whip. Another current whip is out of Home for the Holidays. And so it's called 'Tis the Season. And there was a stitch along when this book first came out, and I had to look. The book came out in 2016, so it's only 5 years old for me. And I just never finished it. So the pattern, you can do it in French or you can do it in English, and I think they give you both. Yeah, I decided to do it in French. And it's another one where I'm so close. I mean, it's ridiculous. Maybe I'm just scared for the fun to end. But on this one, I really want the rest of the fabric off the top, so I just need to get myself in gear and finish it. And here we go. So, I mean, I don't have much to do. I have some snowflakes and some leaves, but the big chunk of it is done. So that's going to be a focus. And then the last one that I am working on is a stitch along with Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch. And it is Stitchy Stars by, is this Lori Holt? Yep, so it's a Lori Holt pattern. I adore Lori Holt. And so I just used some scrap fabric. And I saw Carol Saltbuck's Stitcher. She had a big trash bag of, I think it was a trash bag, of just all her scrap fabric. And I thought, you know what, that's what I should do. I should put all my scraps in a box, and when I'm doing something small, dig through there first. And so I've been doing that, and that's actually been pretty helpful. So I'm doing 1 star per week. Sunday is my star day. And so I started it last Sunday. And here we go. So I did the center star, and I went ahead and did all of the border. I did change the threads up a little bit. She has something that's more corally pink, and I didn't want the coral pink, so I changed just a little bit. So these are my threads. I like to twist them. I think they're pretty when they're twisted. And so there we go. So I could easily finish it before 6 weeks from now, but I like just pacing it out and doing 1 star per Sunday. And it'll give me plenty of time to finish it up. And one of the things that I really appreciate that Lori did, I don't know if she did this on purpose or it's just a happy accident. It's mounted on this board that you can get from Michael's for about $4 or $5. And so, you know, I get tired of expensive finishing. If I can finish something for next to nothing, you know, my cigar box, this, pretty cheap, then that gives me more money to spend on more designs, more fabric, more of the fun stuff. So I do like that. I like that it'll be a quick and easy finish. All right, so those are my current tips. Try to not have anything else out so that I really do focus on those. I am working on the Little House Cottage of the Month series, and I keep that at work. So during my lunch break, whenever I have a lunch break, I try to put a few stitches in it just to bring me some peace in the middle of the day. I am at one of those schools where we are, I think we're calling it hybrid, I don't know. It just means I have students in my classroom and on the computer at the same time. So I am juggling like crazy to teach virtual and in person simultaneously. So I do need that little downtime in the middle. All right, next up is haul. So I went to Franklin, North Carolina 2 days ago. Met my cousin there. She's a school counselor she's in Eastern North Carolina, and she was on spring break. So I thought, well, how about we meet and maybe do some antique shopping or something like that? Because I know she loves to do that. And so Franklin, North Carolina has the largest antique store in North Carolina. And it's an old school building. It's really cute. It's like, you know, you go into the auditorium, or you go behind the theater, or you go into the detention room, and so it's just full of antiques. And so there were lots of little antique shops, and I don't do a whole lot of antiques, but it was just fun to go take a look. And so we ended up, as we were scouring this town, we ended up at a thrift shop, and it was a thrift shop that benefited the local animal shelter. And so, you know, I'm looking for my thing. My cousin collects vintage purses and handbags, and she was looking for that. And I came across cross stitch. Woohoo! So let me show you what I got. This is my haul. So I got, for $1, Larida, a pocket full of posies. I love that. I have not made any pockets, and I think that would be a whole lot of fun to do. And so then once you figured one, you know, I'm sure the instructions are in here. So once you figured out one, then you could adapt a lot of patterns and make little pockets and change them out. Again, inexpensive finishing. Another one, this one was 50 cents. The Flower Basket Sampler from the Heart Needleart by Wendy. I thought that was a really sweet little basket there. And this would be a cute one to do where you, when you stitch it, and you stitch your initials in a different color. So I might do that. Use that red from that heart and do my initials in that red. So I like that one. Hopefully not too much of a glare. This one, Home Sweet Home number 3, Brenda Keys. She always does such a nice job in packaging up her patterns. It was $2. Bent Creek Quaker Noel row. And this is one that I paid $1 for it. I kind of think that it's going to look way better than it does in the picture. This is one of those pictures that looks sort of drained. I don't know, sort of faded. I think it's going to be fantastic when I stitch it up. And it'll be a quick stitch. Purely Samplers, Santa Button Sampler. And this one was $2. And so what they've got, I'm trying to make sure you don't see the pattern. They've got 4 buttons in the corner. So I'll have to try to find some cool buttons. And it looks like they did something funky with his beard, like some sort of fuzzy, like what's that called? Whisper thread, something like that. It might not be. It just may be my bad eyes, but that would be fun to do. So I liked all the different colors in that. And I saved my favorite for last. I mean, they're all wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But this one was actually in my wish list on 1, 2, 3 Stitch. So I paid $2 for Strawberry Bird by Kathy Barrick. Yay! So excited. So this is going to be my special treat. So as soon as I finish one of those big ones, maybe when I finish that 'Tis the Season by Blackbird, since it's a bird, maybe this will be my special treat. I can do that one. I love it. I love that it's full coverage, but not the whole thing, you know, just inside that bird. I think it's really, really, really pretty. So that's it. That's my haul. Okay, so let me tell you what today's math lesson is going to be. And it's related to this. So I started in the center. I typically don't. I no longer stitch with Q-snaps or frames or anything like that. I stitch in hand, which has really increased how quickly I can stitch. I love it because it's so much more flexible. I'm not hauling things around. My hands were getting, or or my arms are getting sore from holding the Q-snaps. And so love stitching in hand. So typically when I stitch in hand, I start at the right and go to the left because I can go pretty quickly that way. But I was scared that I was going to not have enough fabric. All right, I can do math. I could have calculated the stitches per inch, do all that, but I thought, well, let me just put this in the middle and stitch out to the edge. But today's math lesson is related to this idea. Let's say you're stitching and you don't know if you have enough fabric left to stitch what that pattern is calling for. And so you can stitch and pray the whole way, and am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Or you can use some pretty simple multiplication and a ruler to figure it out. So stay tuned so that you can watch my quick video. There is some scratching noises in the background because when my cat saw that I was distracted, she thought that was the perfect time to get into these cases back here and start moving stuff around. So that's the cat. And I just didn't feel like stopping it and restarting it to chase her down. All right, so I'll be right back after your math lesson. Okay, Flosstube, so today's math lesson is how you can determine how many more stitches you can get on your piece of fabric if you're scared that you are going to run out of fabric. Now I'm just using my Quaker diamonds. This is my edge, so I am not in fear of running out of fabric, but this I thought would be a good demonstration. So there's a few things that I need to do. I need a ruler, and I do like to quilt, so I just grabbed one of my quilting rulers. And the first thing that I'm going to do is figure out how many more inches can I comfortably stitch. So I'm going to start at my farthest to the right, and when I look, I could probably stitch about 4 more inches fairly comfortably. Because I don't use Q-snaps or anything, but that is pretty tight on that right edge. So I'm going to scoot it over a little bit, and I'm going to say, you know what, 3 inches is a little bit better for me. I like that 3 inches. So I'm going to make note of that. So I can stitch 3 more inches. Now the next thing I'm going to do is see how many stitches per inch am I getting. Now if I have written it down with my pattern, if I knew what fabric I was using, I could just consult that. But even sometimes the fabric is mismarked. When it's dyed, it has shrunk a little bit. So I'm going to go to a horizontal line of my stitching, and I'm going to count how many stitches per inch. So I'm just going right here to the base of this pedestal. And I am going to say that that is 14. So I just counted and got up to 14. So that means I am stitching 14 stitches per inch. Therefore, that's the math symbol for therefore, I can stitch, and I just have to multiply those two things together, 42 more stitches. So then I can go consult my pattern and see, all right, is there 42 stitches or less before I get to the edge of that pattern? And so I'm not having to actually stitch it and see if I have enough. I can use math to help me figure that out. All right, so hopefully that was something helpful to you. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love comments, constructive criticism. I know the lighting's horrid in here today. I need to get some better lighting in here. But I'm excited to be back in the community, feel like I am a part of it again, and I'm looking forward to some stitchy get-togethers with friends. So take care, guys. Happy stitching. And maybe I'll be back in a couple of weeks. Bye.